Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock and I'd like to call together the March 26, 2026 school committee meeting. If you would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, this evening we have our consent agenda posted, which are the minutes from our March 12th, 2026 meeting, as well as the bills and payroll. Folks have a chance to review the minutes. Any proposed edits? Okay, is there a motion to accept? So moved. Motion made by Sean,
Second.
seconded by Elaine. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Excellent. So first opportunity for interested citizens. Second opportunity for the back half of the meeting. If there was anyone with us this evening in person or on Zoom that would like to speak before the school committee, use the raise your hand feature online.
Nobody online.
Right, we will close first, close that portion of the meeting. And we'll move into recognition. Sidara Patamati this evening with us. If you would please provide the student representative report.
All right, to start off with Russell Street, trimester 2 report cards will be available to view through Aspen portal on Monday, March 30th. And the MCAS assessments will begin next week on the third and fourth grade students will show what they know on their computer-based tests. It's recommended that students get a good night's sleep and have a healthy breakfast in the morning. Regarding middle school, members of the LMS staff will have a guide on the 4th to the 8th grade students on selecting their classes for the fall. The LMS will also host the Kids Night Out for 6th graders on Friday, March 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. with multiple games and musics and other fun activities. For the high school, during the week of March 16th to 20th, the LHS Council hosted a Spirit Week, which included annual hallway decorating contest, pep rally, and daily themes, and a performance by the LHS Drama. On March 27th to the 29th, the LHS Drama presents the musical Mamma Mia. And on March 28th, the PALS will host a Special Olympics mobile polar plunge fundraiser, and it'll be held in the LHS parking lot from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. On March 28th, the rolling rally will be held at 9 a.m. for Boys Ice Hockey Division 4 state champions. On April 2nd, the Civil Action Project guest speaker will have an all-school assembly with Mark O'Meara. On April 7th, NHS is sponsoring a mobile blood drive from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. at LHS. On April 9th, PALS will be hosting a talent show in the auditorium from 6 to 8 p.m. On April 14th, the Council of Aging Luncheon will be being held in the LHS cafeteria from 1 to 2 p.m. And lastly, on April 15th, the Spectrum of Sound will perform during the all-school assembly.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Questions for Sid?
Thank you. That's
Sid?
great. Thanks.
I'll open up to Superintendent Clenchey for
Said very well.
he wishes to offer.
Covered it all. Really excited that our high school music program, drama program is performing Mamma Mia this weekend. If people have free night, I encourage you to go out and experience one of our performances. And I think one that Sid didn't mention, when I said I have one to talk about tonight, is I'd like to thank Dr. Finity for bringing her STEM projects to the library and having our community have an opportunity to see the, excuse me, the terrific work that our young scientists do. Now, it's nice to bring things that we do out of our schools into our community rather than having people come in our schools all the time. And hopefully when we do that, we're drawing people in that perhaps wouldn't have gone to the school to see the project. So I commend Dr. Finity on being creative in terms of venturing out of the school. And that's it.
Excellent.
Yeah. Can I actually add on to that? I attended that. It was so impressive and it was really well attended. The students' work was amazing as always. But a couple of parents wanted to help with fundraising for the materials for the STEM projects. And a couple of them were talking about how their employers match contributions. So wondering if some kind of account could be created or a fund created for fundraising for materials for her STEM club. So I wanted to bring that up here and see if there was any accounting way to.
Yeah, if people want to make donations, they can, make a donation to Littleton Public Schools, and we'll just put it in gifts and donations with a specific, identifier where it's gonna go.
Okay, and would they send that to you?
Yep.
Okay. We'll get back to this.
Yep, send it to the business office or the superintendent's office,
That's awesome.
or even through the high school. You can do it through the high school too.
And can you support employer matching?
We don't support employee.
But she mentioned
No,
that.
but like so a couple parents were saying, you know, we would love to donate and our employers.
Yes, so
Okay,
those
provide
employers
them.
would just write a check to the Littleton Public Schools.
They can do that.
Yep. Yep, and we can identify it and put it in a separate account.
Awesome.
Yep.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, no, it really was. I mean, well, that shows you how impressive the event was, that it was inspiring people to want to help out. And I do appreciate, like, there were several projects that had to do with bioengineering. And so I was asking, you know, how do you test your idea? Because obviously that would involve testing on humans, which you really can't do. But instead they had devised a device that could be used to collect samples, but they weren't collecting samples. So I appreciated that with Dr. Finnerty, that she was already at this young age, like drawing the line between, you know, what's permissible and what would require, you know, a higher level of permission structure. So it was super impressive for high school, what these kids are doing.
It's amazing. It really
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Thanks.
Great. And I think the timing, we haven't had an in-person school committee meeting since boys hockey is named state champs.
Yes.
I was like, we should have them in and recognize them, but the select board beat us to it. Sean had a couple members of the hockey team and coach on his podcast today, so I feel like the school committee at least recognized them in that fashion, so congratulations to the boys hockey team.
There's a rolling rally on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Sorry, you gotta do a building.
Yes. Yeah, good. Yeah. First championship ever for them, so that's awesome.
We all set on recognition? Perfect. Moving into the presentations, our first item is the recommended fiscal year 2027 school choice slots presented by Superintendent Clenchey. This is an important annual discussion that balances student enrollment, building capacity, staffing, and fiscal sustainability. I'd ask that the committee listen with an eye both towards educational impact and long-term planning.
Perfect. Well, you have the information in front of you. I'm sure you've taken a look at it. We have 14 school choice students graduating this year, and we expect our resident population to drop by 5 students. So again, these are projections, so it may not happen. So we're looking at 19 students, potentially less. But with the addition of school choice, we have a potential 53 students slotted. We'll never have 53 students enroll in our district, but it's nice to open up seats when we have seats available. So kindergarten is always the hardest one to project, and we have 7 classes, so we did 1 per class. I was tempted to do more, but you really projecting kindergarten enrollment is like bus registration. In the last minute, you have people register for kindergarten. Last year, we had 15 students come in at the last minute months. So, you know, thank goodness we estimated a low number of school choice students. Our class sizes still would have been fine. Kindergarten is the only grade that the state has class size mandates for. And if you have 25 students or over, you're required to have an ed assistant. All of our classes have ed assistants in kindergarten. So what you're more interested in is projected class sizes, and I think that's important for you to know. So I'm going to go through them rather quickly. But there's nothing that surprises me as the educational leader. I think they're very doable and something you would see in a private school setting, to be honest with you. So our kindergarten class size at this point in time is projected to 16.4. And grade 1, 20.3, grade 2, 21.8, grade 3, 22, grade 4, 22, grade 5, 22.8, grade 6, 24.2, grade 7, we have students choosing to go to Parker Charter, so it's a little hard to predict. I assumed about 8 students may go to Parker Charter. That would give us a class size of 23.8. Grade 8, 24.4. High school, you just can't go, you can't do classroom size. Because we have juniors and seniors taking class together. We have, excuse me, competing interests in terms of what drives our scheduling at the high school. Our music program plays a big role in that. So we may have a science class, a biology class of 24 students in one section and another class with 8. So we really look at what is the class load of the teacher for the day? How many students do they have? So again, class size really isn't applicable in the way we calculated it here, the way I calculated it today. So I feel good about these numbers. As I said before, I've never, ever, in my entire career, filled the number of seats that we've had open. And for everybody who may be listening, and again, a reminder to the school committee, we don't take school choice students in to raise revenue. That's not our driving force. What we do is we take students into our district to stabilize our grade levels. When I first came here 15 years ago, it wasn't uncommon to have a teacher in grade 1, and then for a year, then we'd have to move them to another grade because we had a bigger class size, and we had our grade at that level was too small to support the number of teachers. So we've stabilized that. I haven't had to remove a teacher, or not remove, but reassign a teacher in the 14 years out of the 15 years that I've been here. So that's how quickly we're able to change course. Any questions?
The classroom numbers that you gave us, the 20 point such and such.
Yes.
That's Littleton students plus current enrollment plus the
Yes.
seats that are available as well.
That's the whole package.
Okay. So if those school choice seats that are being open don't fill to the extent listed, the numbers would be even smaller.
That's correct.
Just curious, it's a little bit longer term thinking, but with 550 King,
Mhm.
how much wiggle room do we have? Could we pull the lever all the way down with school choice as an input back to our finances? What kind of agreements does that work?
My experience with any housing project that has a 40B component to it is the enrollment does not increase that much. And a lot of the residences that are being built at IBM site are really meant for younger people starting out. People may move here in the hopes of finding a house somewhere. It's a temporary housing, measure for a number of people. There are a lot of people moving in and out of these apartments during the year. So I don't anticipate that it's going to be a big impact. It's interesting, with all the housing that we've had built in town, our student enrollment has gone up proportionally to the number of new houses that have been built, which is fascinating to me. And part of it is the cost of a house. And as you've heard me say last meeting we had, when we were talking about our goals for the upcoming years, in order to keep our school enrollment in town healthy, we need to think of ways to build homes that are more affordable for our younger families. And unfortunately, that may not be unfortunately for some, but people that are used to half-acre lots, etc., it's hard for them at times to envision houses being built, townhouses or duplexes, or houses put on 30-foot lots, urban housing. Those kinds of building projects will allow us to sustain young families in our community. I mentioned last meeting there, between the ages of, I remember the exact ages, 28 to 44, that's the highest immigration rate in the state. And those are key income earners and key ages for people to have children in our community. So this isn't something to turn a blind eye at. I mean, we need to figure this out as a state. I believe this is the best state to live in. I really do. And it would be a shame that we're starting to have to reorganize our schools within the state because we're losing younger parents to other states that are more affordable to live in.
To clarify that real quick, sorry. So for the school choice portion of that, though, there's no requirement based on agreements that we have to have a certain amount of students each year, right? It's whatever
No.
we choose.
No. The school choice law is pretty basic. If a district wants to elect not to offer school choice, you can take a vote to do so by a certain time of the year. It's in our policy. I've only seen a couple of districts do that in my career, and within 4 or 5 years, they were back accepting school choice.
I'm not advocating, I'm just curious.
No, but I was giving you the information. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we receive considerable revenue from these seats, and that again, it's not our goal. It's a perk. It certainly has allowed us to shoulder a more difficult financial time. And you think this next budget year, we would have not been able to do what we're doing without having been able to put money in a revolving fund. Our school choice seats being filled in the district for many years. So for us, it's worked out really well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And I'm sure that teachers appreciate it too, not having to move up and down grade levels to follow a bump of students.
For sure.
So in your experience, how many of the seats typically get taken? We're not maxing out with the.
No, it's like flipping a coin.
Yeah,
I mean, usually parents enroll their children when they're younger. And then every now and again, people, when they hit grade 8 or 9, may reconsider what school they're going to. We've had some surprises at the high school in the past 4 or 5 years. Parents enrolling their students from schools in the immediate area that have great reputations, but they're looking for a smaller school feel, and at times the ability for their children to take part in a number of programs that they probably wouldn't have been able to in a bigger school. So I find this really refreshing to me as an educator that parents are taking that time to think about what is best for their child as they go through K-12 public education.
and do these numbers include any teachers in Littleton who are bringing they don't live in Littleton, but their students come to school here?
They do.
Yeah.
Yes, and I've said many times that one of the best measures of how well you're doing as a school district is when your educators want to send their children to the schools that they teach in.
Mhm.
So
Just to clarify, Sean, I think one of the things you're after there is, I'm looking for you to make sure this is right, Kelly. Once we've accepted a school choice student, they're in. And they're in through 12th grade. So it's not like all of a sudden,
I was wondering.
yeah, it's not like all of a sudden there's a lot more housing opportunity, a lot more residents moving in, kids, Littleton residents are flocking to the school system that we can then turn and accept the school choice student away.
Got it.
So once they're in, they have the ability to stay all the way through.
That was exactly what I was saying.
yeah,
Got
I missed that. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
And out of curiosity, I'm just wondering, we got 86 current school choice students already for next year. How many different communities do you think that represents? Just ballpark, yes.
7, maybe? 7 or 8?
So we're pulling from 7 or 8 different neighboring districts. That's right. I'm in support of the numbers.
Oh, we're taking a vote on it?
No,
We're not looking for a vote. We're just looking to give feedback to the superintendent to make sure that we're okay that he's okay to proceed with this plan.
I appreciate this plan. I wouldn't second guess the people that are down in the weeds with it. But, and I appreciate you articulating that one of the biggest benefits is maintaining those class levels, because I remember moving into town when I think there were 60 students graduating and there were 250 in kindergarten. And there was a lot of, this could be bad.
Mhm. Well, we always have to remember too, we have 2 times during the public education process for our students where their parents may decide to send them somewhere else. Between grade 6 and 7, it's Parker Charter, and in between grades 8 and 9, it's Neshoba Tech. So on average, we we lose 20 students a year for both programs, sometimes more. It's just an average I have in my head, but so that really affects our high school if we're not careful to be able to offer the robust programming that it does. So as a superintendent, you have to look at that whole span of service that you're offering and making sure that, you know, by the time our students get to high school, they're going to have a viable program that our community is proud of and supports as well.
One more follow-up question. The number that's shown for first grade 109
Mhm.
for Littleton residents, is that the current kindergarten Littleton resident number?
That is what we have so far. But as
So
I
is it fair
said
to say
before,
that 109 probably doesn't capture everybody?
that would be a
Because
very
I think
fair statement.
there are a lot of options related to kindergarten or nursery schools, or people need extended childcare at that age. And once first grade becomes an option, they're truly enrolled in the public school system. So I actually hope that we have more than 109, right?
I mean, we have variations from those numbers, anywhere from 5 to 20 kids.
Yeah.
Throughout the years. So, and you know, no fault to parents. I mean, they're just entering our school system, and why would they think it's important to tell us in March whether they're coming or not? They're used to probably contacting schools in July or August. So,
Are we all set with that topic?
Yep.
All right,
thank you.
appreciate it. All right, next we're going to move on to the proposed 26-27 school committee calendar. The draft calendar intended to provide predictability of meetings. Kelly, if you just
Sure.
walk us through this, I feel like this is our second time doing this.
Oh, it's the first time this year.
Oh, I thought that when we looked at the school calendar, we also looked at this.
No, we did in the last years, not this year.
Okay, that's just.
Hold a fast one on you.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, the dates that you really, I mean, you look at all the dates, but I think that summer retreat is one that you need to look at and make sure that that coincides with your plans. August 3rd, you usually have a 1-day retreat. Now, I'd love to join you, but there's no need to join you next year. So these dates do not matter to me.
Should be gardening.
So it's a Thursday and Friday.
so for the rest of the committee, I presently do have a conflict with August 13th, 14th, I'll be out of state. And I wouldn't get to say joining virtually, so I'd like to suggest we move that
Yeah.
meeting.
Sure.
I'm available the 6th, 7th,
It's good for me.
and it would, and in theory, if we could get everything done on the 6th, it would just be the 6th, the 7th for overflow.
We've never had a 2-day one, right?
No.
But who knows what we're gonna have?
I know, but
So tentatively August 6th
I need a
and 7th.
meeting. I need
Does that work for everybody?
6 and 7.
6, 7.
Like the topic on the 7th.
Okay.
So it's
So your conflict is
It's a
the afternoon of 7.
It is 11 to probably 5. Great.
All right.
All right,
So that one
six
proposed
and
change.
7. All right, thank you.
Right. All right, so the third presentation this evening is an item is the Finance Committee vacancy notice. This is a procedural step required upon town policy to notify the incumbent of their right to reapply and to authorize advertising the upcoming vacancy. This process supports transparency and strong collaboration across boards. Is there, I saw a notice go out to the current seat holder that's term's expiring. I don't know if we heard back from that individual.
Not yet.
And I don't believe that that individual will be able to carry this through. I had a conversation with someone else that might be interested, but I see that individual has pulled papers for other boards in town as well, so that might not pan out.
I would encourage our residents to consider this position. It's really important that the school committee have representation of the FinCom.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we have 2 seats. This is for the one expiring. It is, for anybody listening, I mean, I can tell you that Finance committee is a great group, and they've got a strong working relationship with the select board. So if you're looking to get involved in town, they really hold the purse. This is where everything goes through. Probably no better way to get an understanding of what's taking place in town and get involved than to join the finance committee. And we'd certainly be looking for somebody to join the finance committee that would be an advocate for the school system, so. You know, no finance experience required, but it would certainly be helpful. What will we do to advertise this? Could we send something out?
We can, yeah, we can send it out through
Well,
our school now, and we could access the town email as well.
Podcast, maybe a quick talk with Steve Venuti on the importance of having someone who.
It's a great idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah, maybe get Mike to, since he's Mike Cruz on leaving,
Yeah.
or potentially not, you know. Not renewing the seat, he might be a guest too, but yeah, if we could get it, if we could push a message out. To the town, to the school, not like through school now, or however we want to do it, that'd be great.
What's the timeline on this? Like when do we actually accept someone by the end of the year?
So its current term expires June 30th, 2026. So ideally, we'd have somebody lined up to take that person's place. We all set there? Just cruising through the agenda tonight. All right, now we're gonna move on to the town financial management policy. This is a discussion and a possible vote. This policy was reviewed and updated by the Financial Policy Working Group, which I sit on as the school committee representative, along with 2 members of the Finance Committee, 2 members of the Select Board, and representation from the Town Administrator's Office. The policy was reviewed and updated. The clarifications that I wish to present this evening are included in your packet, and hopefully I'll have a chance to review that. But I'll just highlight a couple of things. The clarifications revolve around reserves, revolving funds, capital planning, and the budget process. It's a town-wide policy. It directly impacts how the school department plans, reports, and coordinates financially. I can walk you through the changes if you'd like me to, or I can just ask for questions.
Can you summarize?
I can certainly summarize. What we provided was the Financial Policy Working Group document in our packet that's made public for everybody. And then there was a summary prepared by Steve Venuti that just basically highlighted the changes, but I can walk you through the changes if you want, the
Yeah,
5 or
that
10
would be
minutes
good.
feel.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'll just say that the changes are largely structural and oops, for clarifying purposes and not really philosophical. This was, I think, the second review, so this has been in place for 3 years now. And the purpose behind this is just to create a document so that as the boards change over, people who join the select board, join the finance committee, join the school committee, all have sort of this plan that's been left behind. And it's not set in stone. It gets reviewed, it could be updated every year, but it gives us a tool for great long-term planning. And from the school committee's perspective, it sort of matters for 3 particular reasons. First, it clearly articulates expectations around financial discipline and long-term planning, including the use of reserves and the avoidance of structural deficits. It aligns with how we approach school building and reinforces credibility with the town and the rating agencies. Second, it provides greater clarity around the revolving funds and reserves, which directly affect how the school department reports, plans, and communicates its financial position. Third, the policy formalizes a capital planning and budget process that reinforces collaboration between the boards. For the school committee, this supports better alignment on major school capital needs and long-term planning rather than year-to-year decision-making. The actual changes that took place, if we look at the mission, the memo.
You have that overview? From the email?
I do not have that.
Okay.
I had a couple for you that.
Is that within the packet?
Oh,
It is in the bag, it's the memo.
Yeah, it's,
So on the first one here,
Let me see if I can find the memo and I'll send it to everybody. So,
Or you just,
Oh,
maybe what
it's-
page it is?
we're on, oh, the PDF,
What are you, the summary is,
in the packet,
it's page
Yeah.
3648.
Oh, here it is. It is included. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Oh,
So this first change, we'll see what you guys flavor is for this, but the first change, the current language, this is around,
I just didn't scroll down.
budget guidelines and recommended levels. They can't be pertained in a particular year. So the current language was if recommended balance levels cannot be attained in a given year, a plan to meet the balance guidelines must be established and affirmed by both committees, financial management. We changed this to say that a plan to meet the balanced budget should be developed by the town's financial management team. The finance committee and the select board will approve a final plan by the majority vote of both boards. So you can see the intricacies in the language. It's really procedural on how it's going to take place. So in the event that we have a year where there's a structural deficit and the plan needs to be redeveloped, we're basically saying the town should come up with a plan, present it to us. It'll be the town administrator's office, the treasurer's office, and then they would bring it to both the finance committee and the select board committee. They would vote at a joint meeting, but it wouldn't be it wouldn't be a majority vote with all boards. It would be a majority vote necessary for each board. So it's changes like that occurred, where there are changes that are applicable to the school department. The second one here is applicable. Sorry, it's not applicable. We're not going to be joining the TIF or pilot agreements committee, but they made a slight change there. The revolving funds and enterprise funds, the school department has revolving funds. And some of ours fall under different Massachusetts state law than other departments within the town. But the current language essentially says, what we were trying to get at here was that revolving funds shouldn't necessarily be a savings account within every department. So if you have revolving funds, you should take them in, you should present the use of your revolving funds on that Super Saturday or the select board or finance committee, talk about the usage of those, and then talk about what your expected balance is to be. And at that point in time, like they can weigh in on, your balances seems excessive, or you ought to think about a plan to have a greater balance there, depending upon your department needs, et cetera. To make it particularly clear in this document, and it stayed, is that our school choice revolving funds account should be a target level of 10%, and which should be north of 5%, or we should make best efforts to always keep it north of 5% of our total budget, which we're in alignment with. And that was a change from a couple of years ago. So no real impact on us there. When we go to present our budget, recommended change was that each department will utilize a revolving fund, is required to submit a policy to the finance director for each individual revolving fund that outlines the source of funding, the estimated total receipts, the types of expenses, and the estimate of total expenditures that will be charged annually from the fund, and the amount of potential use of any excess dollars that may accumulate. And this is not just us. This is townwide document. So all we're just acknowledging this, and when we make our presentations, we would just fall in line with everybody else. Employee costs, union and non-union, I don't think it's applicable. Capital planning, this was a change, and obviously we've got 4 buildings.
Yeah, we'll get back to it.
Yeah, okay. We've got 4 buildings require great capital need for upkeep. So this was a new idea, as opposed to submitting a capital plan at the same time with the budgetary process, and it either being really important because capital needs are high and we need to replace a school or something like that, or rooftop units or a roof. It was, let's set a separate time in the year aside to talk about capital planning. So we built in a capital planning phase that will take place over the summertime. where there'll be a dedicated group that'll sit and discuss the capital plan. School committee will have a seat on that. It's a working group. They'll just review the capital plan for 10 years for all departments. Prioritize the items, talk about need, talk about cash flow from the town, whether or not we think we're gonna need to raise money for these things, raise money being borrow money, or whether or not we'll be able to fund these out of cash flow. And then when we get into the budgetary process, we can talk about operational budgets and the town revenue. And it's sort of all the capital needs analysis can sort of back into that. So it's just, we think we found a better way to do it. In terms of the budgetary process. This doesn't necessarily impact us, but it talks about, how the town administrator's office and the finance director will provide the initial 3-year budget estimate prior to the start of the budgetary process. The select board in conjunction with the finance committee will establish their own budget priorities for the town. There's a calendar been prepared. The town administrator is going to hold department meetings to get a sense for what the needs are of that department and how the year went and where they're going to land. And then separately, which has been customary is the last couple of years, is the finance committee and the select board also have meetings with those departments heads. And then sort of everyone's notes get passed back and forth as to what the real needs are and how we're going to fund this and where we want to invest our dollars as a town. And then there was a change to the budget calendar, which essentially was the opportunity for a public hearing before most of the work is done. Let's see if I can find that.
The bottom of that page says page 5 at that.
Found the
Because I
public
see
hearing.
it, and I found section 8 budget calendar.
Yes,
It's original.
there's
It's
a,
in, or you're not in the packet, though, you're in the separate document.
Oh,
I am in the back. I've just scrolled further.
oh.
So there's a memo after this.
Oh,
that's got the
afterwards.
changes.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at one that says current language and recommended language. And, what's called?
What number is it?
Isn't it section 8 budget calendar? Is
Yes,
that it?
yes, I'm within the budget calendar. What I'm trying to find is the additional line item that was added, which was a public hearing.
Oh,
Which was a recommendation of the committee to, similar to how we have our public hearing, where it's sort of an opportunity for the public to address budgetary concerns.
mhm.
The TA's office, finance committee, the select board, they were gonna kind of take a pause, ask for public input, and then finish the process, and that's been built into the calendar. I just can't specifically find it.
Mm.
So,
Like September, capital planning working group will meet to review.
yeah, it was, I want to say it was in this,
It's actually in the chart.
you got it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
under
you're
the
looking,
first
right?
bottom page of the first,
What page is it?
it's a chart. I don't have a page number. on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's
It says,
What month is it in?
February to April, finance committee and select board will schedule it.
No, thank you. It just didn't jump off the page for me. So that was kind of the big change on the calendar.
Yeah.
So for us,
Yes, Rob.
we would now have a seat on the capital planning working group, which I think is a great win for us.
Yeah,
So it gives us an opportunity to be involved in the process, advocate for the school department, and then also understand the needs of the town as well. So that we're not just, we need this, we have a better understanding of what the overall town needs. When we go to present our budget, we'll have to provide greater transparency or reporting on the revolving funds, which is no issue. No one has any issue with our revolving funds. It's just an inner requirement to present them. And the rest of it really, I feel like, is select board, finance committee, town administrator's office type stuff. Steve, you have a question, please?
So, I'm concerned, I'm looking for additional clarification, I guess. So if I look on the page 2, at the top of the page, it says current language and recommended language. The part where it says revolving fund expenditures shall not be made to pay wages or salaries for full-time employees unless the revolving fund is also charged for the cost of fringe benefits associated with the wages or salaries. That would be a big change in procedure and practice for us. So-
I think so. Robin clarified that for me.
Okay, so
My understanding is that is this the school choice revolving funds?
it's not only school choice.
Yeah,
We pay salaries out of the pre-K tuition that we take. We pay salaries out of grants that technically go into a revolving fund.
Yep.
So if we now have to take grant money and charge fringe benefits, that's a whole thing with the state and all that, and that would change the dynamics and how much funding from grant money actually flows down to the students. It would go toward benefits. So I think there needs to be some additional clarification specifically around some of those. So pre-K revolving fund, the athletic fund, we don't usually pay salaries, but we pay a lot of stipends out of that. School choice would be an issue.
Yep.
The cafeteria would be a big issue. Because the cafeteria is pretty much self-funded anyway, right now. We don't subsidize that cafeteria program at all with, appropriated money. But it would change the dynamics in the forecast if we now charge fringe benefits for those cafeteria employees into that revolving fund. The only revolving fund right now, program that we have right now, that gets charged for fringe benefits for the employees is the Tigers Den program. And
right.
historically, that's been the only one for as long as I've been here, close to 20 years. So I just would like some clarification to make sure we specify if they're moving down that, either the school revolving funds are exempt from that clause, or if we're gonna change practice moving forward. I don't have a problem with that technically, but we need to start making financial plans around those.
I would, I'm gonna use a bit stronger language. I would recommend an exemption. I mean, you have to remember, we have our own statutes.
Correct. So that's the point I wanted to raise is Robin, the town treasurer, clarified our revolving usage for an example. Now you just rattled off like 6 or 7. So what I would propose is that you and I hop on a phone call with
Yep,
Robin,
absolutely.
just to double check all of our usages, because the intent here was not to really change any of our practices.
Okay.
But I'm in total agreement. We don't want to agree to something that's out of our ordinary practice and then be obligated to do so going forward.
Correct,
So
or at least put some language in here
that's
that says.
exactly why this goes before the finance committee, the select board, and the school committee, to make sure that all 3 boards are in agreement. We got a document that works for everybody.
Yeah.
So we'll plan a call tomorrow or early next week.
Yep, okay, perfect.
And then what we can do is bring this back to a following agenda item and vote it through.
And in addition to that, may I suggest we also visit the capital funds part of it to be sure. I was super excited to see the town sit down and look at everything that is owned within the town, as public, and continue to monitor it for needs to be repaired and maintenance, because that's been something I think we missed. So we're adding this is great. But as we were reading it, I had the thought of, is there anything in the school budget, in the way that the schools handle our buildings and our capital expenses, that this language might eat into? I'm just being really aware that my understanding is that a school budget needs to work beside the municipal budget. It can't always fit in because of some of the statutes, et cetera.
That's correct.
And this is a great step forward, but that's one of the things I would say, like asking and being really aware that we need to make sure we're not setting ourselves up to shoot ourselves in the foot. And
Yeah.
I think you're
I
doing
can
a
tell
great
you-
job with that.
As the person who's been involved with the financial public working group, huge respect for the school system.
Yeah.
All the work we do. I think the Littleton residents as a whole are supportive of a strong educational system. So by no stretch of imagination is anybody looking to get into our purse.
Yeah,
What they're looking to do is provide some guidance for all departments, which we are one of them, so we would have to comply. But what's in here, we would be asked to comply, and your points raised tonight are very valid, and we should just double check that before we sign off on this.
Thank you. And I think we've been good partners with the town, notably over the last couple of years when it comes to capital requests and capital expenditures.
Yeah.
We realize we have a school choice balance greater than this threshold that's in this document. We're above the 10% at this point in time. We're working to get that number down, but we're spending it on school capital projects, one-time projects and things like that. We're not increasing, we're not paying salaries out of it. It's going to be a long-term thing. You know, it's got to be sustainable. So,
I do think this has been a very positive move. I mean, we all know that our school budgets are separate by statute. We, by law, only have to give them a number, but I've never recommended that as a superintendent. We need to be more transparent with that. But there will come times where this policy needs to be reviewed because it may not meet our needs. And having a member at the table is huge. I mean, before we did this, we kind of came together, but we always had that, well, we're kind of part of you, but we know you have separate statutes. So we were split. But what this has done is allowed us to come together and find those commonalities, which are so important to visionary budgeting within a municipality. So I really support this, and you know, I'd like to thank Justin for all the work that he's done to work with the town to develop these guidelines.
Steve Venuti does a lot of the work.
Well, I'm sure he does. Yeah.
So well, thank you, Mr. Venuti, but your remarks are on point with school committee's got a seat at the table, involved in the discussions. That's the way it should be. Capital planning thing, I think, is a win for all departments because it gives the town an opportunity to digest and plan and then go into the budget season.
Yeah.
Sean?
Yeah, just a couple of points, but yeah, on the capital plan, I was surprised we didn't have more of that at town level. So when I moved to town, so I was really happy to hear that we're doing that. And yeah, I guess one thing I keep looking out at is obviously we're spending down our school choice funds in the short term and just making sure that we have the ability to replenish them. It's not just the fact that we are able to kind of come back to what we're used to for funding out in the town, but also that we're actually able to bring money back in. So the fact that there's a 5% bottom threshold makes me more comfortable.
yeah, and again, you know, this is important to get it right now because long-term, 5 years, 10 years from now, when none of us are sitting around this table, it's got to be in this document. Because if it's not, somebody on the town could say, hey, this is what it says, we're going to start doing this. So
Right.
I think it's important. So thank you, Justin, for all your work as well.
You are welcome. So we'll do the call with Robin and we'll bring this back. for
Yep.
pretty-
I'll set it up with Robin and
meeting with
coordinate with you.
Clarification, okay?
Thank you.
Good, cool. All right, next is a financial update from business manager Steve Marks. Steve will provide a high-level snapshot of where we stand financially. And any items the committee should be monitoring if we look ahead at 27.
Let me share this. Okay, so reports in your packet. Oh, let me expand this. Come on. So people at home can see it. Reports in your packet. Again, there's no big concerns here. However, I do want to talk a little bit, if you look at the bottom two lines of transportation and the busing, and this is through February, so we're 72% expended in transportation and busing, and just by way of explanation, we have our yellow bus contract with D-Bus, and then we have Case Transportation. Case Transportation, we pay twice a year. So I believe, I'm pretty sure this has the second payment for Case in it. So what's left gets us through the rest of the year with D-Bus, our 14 bus contract. So that's why that's a little high. Facilities and maintenance, again, looks a little high, and it is. I'm a little worried. I'm not worried overall budget-wise. We have had some unanticipated expenses. We had high school, if you remember, we had a high school boiler that was about $10,000. We had the middle school elevator, that's still in process, that's gonna be 33,000. We just had to do the Russell Street fire alarm panel repair. That was completely, took us by surprise because we've had fire drills and it gets inspected every year and suddenly part of it stopped working. So that was $25,000 that was unanticipated. And then our plow truck, our white plow truck, that doesn't have a garage to sit in, needed about almost $10,000 worth of repairs. So that's close to $80,000 that's unanticipated. Again, we're fortunate enough, we have some flexibility in the budget to cover that, but it is a concern that we've had quite a bit of unanticipated costs. But again, you know, we have school choice to fall back onto if we need to. So I'm not worried about meeting obligations for the end of the year, so.
We've been on a bad run, but you're saying.
We're
Well, hopefully, you know, knock on
Never say it's
hardwood
over.
here, so. But again, there's no guarantees, you know, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen to the facilities, so.
Fire panel expense, 25 grand, did that include the fire detail that we had?
No, that did not. That was just the contractor. I haven't seen the invoices for the fire detail yet, but that was, what, a week of fire detail, 8 hours a day, so that's gonna be probably significant, so. But thank you, you know, again, thank you to Steele McCurdy, the fire chief, and the fire
Kept us busy.
the fire guys, the fire officers, who came in, walked through the school, made sure our kids were safe. That's the important thing, so. So glad to answer questions or provide additional detail.
Thank you for nobody getting hurt.
Nobody got hurt. Yeah. And we're hopefully we're done snow, so hopefully we're done the cold weather, so, you know, we did get a little bit of a rate reduction on our natural gas amounts that we were paying because we were locked in. I said this before, we were locked into a high contract. That contract ended, so we're down to market rates. We're working with Tony Souza, the assistant town administrator, on a multi-year town-wide natural gas purchase agreement that would hopefully get us in locked in at a rate. And then those rates, when we've done them in the past, those rates have usually been very favorable. So we're working on those as well. So, and then our energy savings program, managed by Dave Riley, has also contributed to a reduction in some of those usage. The rates go up a little bit, but the usage is down a little bit. So we're looking at everything. So.
Good.
All right. Thank you very much.
Our second opportunity for interested citizens. Being none. Hearing none.
Let me just make sure. Nope, nobody online.
All right, we'll close that portion of the meeting and we'll move through our subcommittee reports. First of which is PMBC.
Yeah, we're still going to, let's show me speak checks and
We'll wait on that one. Budget subcommittee. Yeah. Really, the budget subcommittee's contribution to the meeting today was the financial policies working group, and we'll hear more about that next meeting. Policy subcommittee's got a couple for us tonight.
We have 3 policies that we would like to put forward for the first reading. You can find them at the end of your packet. There's only a small language change in the second one. Once again, the policy subcommittee sat down with the administration and decided that we wanted to pare back what we were doing so that as we are going to be having a new superintendent, we can do more work with the new superintendent, and they are more part of our policy overview, policy review. So using administration's guidance, we chose to end this year with 3 very special policies. One is simply the minutes and how the minutes are handled in school committee meetings. We can would we like to read through it, or do we just count that we've all read it and we're
Probably.
Yeah, it was provided. We read it. I we're familiar with it, but
Yeah.
the first of which has no proposed changes.
correct?
Okay.
Yeah, So the second policy to be reviewed is the school choice policy. Once again, we wanted to stay up to date with that one since it is a situation that is year to year. And administration came to us and said that these changes that we've put in, which are very small changes to the wording that simply give administration a little more time and leeway within the time period of when they must notify families and make the decisions. This is based on several years of work with school choice. And what we did is we talked to the people that have been doing the school choice and they said, so this is how to word it so that we aren't on the 8 ball. We don't have to like rejigger a calendar. We can simply move forward year to year with these guidelines.
What does 5 mean here? Because we talked about this earlier tonight, right? So any students accepted for admissions under the provisions policies entitled to remain in the graduation high school, except if there is a lack of funding of the program. Does that just mean except if there's no exchange of school choice money for that seat?
If the state stopped funding
Yeah,
school choice.
okay, so it's
program,
not like
they
if
didn't go.
our budget got tight or,
No.
yeah, so it's.
This
Correct,
is-
and those
Big
charges
money.
for school choice. Outgoing gets done on the cherry sheet that the towns are responsible for and
Yeah, okay.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and I think there was some discussion about programs at the high school. That if the students were there for something that we could no longer maintain. That we would let them know. I wasn't sure if that might have been part of another discussion.
Yeah, I think it was part of another discussion. I mean, a student that's school choice can decide on a yearly basis or even during the year whether they want to continue to attend our schools in our school district. I mean, we don't have that happen very often, but at times circumstances arise where they need to move. So there's freedom on the other side, but once we accept them, they're here until they graduate if they so choose.
And then the last policy, there are no other questions on that one. Student absences and excuses, we read through several times. And as written, which reflects the Mass Association of School Committee guidance, this is working for our school district at this point. Are there any questions?
Does this touch upon the question of when families leave the country for several weeks, say go visit family?
So-
Do we, like, how long of an absence do we allow before the student has to disenroll?
I think you find this under student absence notification program, I think, where there is a guideline after a certain number that, well, that's unexcused, but starts to give some guidance to how much time we kind of are expecting. But what mostly this policy does is gives the administration some guidelines within which they can act, but it isn't super restrictive, so that administration has the opportunity to work with families on an individual basis in terms of, especially in terms of things like out of country visits or family obligations that are sometimes beyond the parent and child. Control.
Since the state has started to track attendance, they recommend that we keep these students enrolled
Okay.
so that we're consistent. I mean, there was a,
Yeah, I think before it was like
Attendance,
district by district, they
yeah,
were making their own
yeah.
decisions, yeah.
yeah, and you know, when you first have data being compiled by the state, and they're giving you benchmarks, you know, I have to admit, it's at times tempting if they don't have some general regulations to exit a child and re-enroll them when they come back, because it's favorable to do that for attendance rates.
Right.
So the state really had to make a statement in order to be able to compare us.
And so now how do we handle that? Say if a student, say leaves in May, and that's the end of their school year because they're going to another country.
We would,
Handle that.
they're coming back. If they're coming back, we would keep them enrolled.
Okay, but if they're not coming back,
We would, unenroll them.
disenroll them and then re-enroll them the following September, August.
Well, if
They come back,
if they
come
came
back
back.
eventually.
Come back eventually.
yeah, then we
Right.
just re-enroll them.
So I think there would
Right.
probably be an evaluation of the amount of coursework completed, and there would be like a summer school offering if key assignments were missing, like they've got to complete. Kelly can speak to this, I think, but they've got to
Yeah.
complete the school years. You can't just leave and move on to the next grade. You probably need to show.
Well, that's
competence.
different.
Well, that's what, maybe that's covered under. another
Yeah,
policy.
this is just attendance. This isn't.
Yeah, but I think that's what your question was.
Well, I guess I'm wondering if those scenarios are part of this policy or if that's a part of another.
That's a different, I mean, that embedded in our handbooks in terms of you need passing grades to move on from one grade to another. I mean, it's interesting that we're having this conversation because 2 years ago, we very seldom would run into any issues, but now when people travel overseas, if their embassies are closed, they may get stuck over there for a while. So there's a new reality that we're dealing with. People are traveling overseas, especially if they're on visas.
I mean, it's easier to calculate grades and course completion when we're talking about, middle school or high school, but elementary students that go overseas. I'm just using May as an example because I've seen it happen before, but there's not a course completion component of that.
No.
It's more that, they attended school until May 15th and that was their last day. Then they come back and re-enroll, or what would be the policy? Then they come back, start school again the end of August. Like, do we have a policy?
It's
that covers
situational.
that?
If they attend school, with homeschooling, we would take a look at that. We can give a readiness test if we so choose. And so, I mean, we embrace this as an opportunity to work with the family and make sure that the decisions that we're making are in the best interest of the child. I mean, I've had children come in from other states who were on accelerated programs, and I've done this before in my career with students, and other school systems would try to move them back, and I would just give them map testing, and if they tested out fine, we would come to an agreement that we're not going to fast track you here. We'll put you in the grade that you're in. So you want to come to our district, then you're going to finish with your cohort that we put you with. So
And am I misinterpreting that this is kind of two different?
that's
Well, that's what I was wondering,
Yeah,
if
I think-
part of this policy
Yeah.
or if there's another policy that
yeah.
covers instead,
I think there's
it's
that,
more operational than what we're talking about.
yeah,
or
whereas,
not a school committee policy.
No.
no, I think this one is strictly kind of like, there's a legal component, isn't there, around school absences and when we need to talk to the
Right, in terms
state.
of providing notice to engage parents. I mean,
Yeah,
realistically, we need to not only notify parents, but we need to work with the family and the child to do whatever we can to get them to want to attend school. I mean, there's the key. You can send all the letters you want, but the bottom line is if there's an issue, we need to get to the bottom of it and figure out what we need to do to get that student feeling comfortable coming back to school. I mean, every school district deals with that every year, and what are the students' interests? What are the barriers? Depends on the age. Barriers change with age, as we know. So,
Right. Get on, so thank you for covering those for the first reading. It's the committee's desire to accept them, we need a motion, a second.
So I can move, yes. I move the committee accept, policies BEDG, JFBB, and JH, and for the first reading.
Motion made by Janine,
Second,
seconded by Elaine. All those in favor, give a saying aye. Aye. That passes. We will see them again for a second reading next meeting. Very much. Moving on to the Shaker Lane Building Committee update from Shauna Hearn, schools, and Superintendent Bunchie.
I don't think I'm gonna go back to.
No, no, not at all. That's funny. I don't know why I said that.
That's
Sorry.
okay. I was one at one time.
try to make it go again.
Exactly. It helps.
So, real quick, I think I mentioned this last time, but we are expecting the school at this point to hopefully be completed in August of, in August of 2028. We will have a full committee vote on that at our April 15th meeting. Following that vote, we're gonna have, someone from Gilbane and someone from the CDOG come on the podcast on April 30th to discuss it.
Great.
And we did check with Steve Benuti to make sure that there was going to be no change in how the bonds were going to be issued, the taxation levels, et cetera, before we jumped on board. But and he's fine with
Didn't we
it.
expect an amount of free cash for the
Yeah,
project?
he was really comfortable with it.
Yeah. Great. So so that was when we believe the school might be completed. When does that mean we would see construction activity in those back fields?
While they're actually
Not
doing
test holes.
geothermal
Not-
wells
not
or
test holes this weekend, but like they've mobilized.
they're still finalizing the plan.
Okay.
So I would anticipate that the actual blueprint should be done prior to the end of June. I would imagine hopefully next fall sometime, there would be some actual activity, but we'll have to check.
Okay, I'm just curious, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
people are
I
curious.
would love to see a backhoe out there.
Yeah, security fencing and some construction equipment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, it won't start until at least after August, so.
Great.
Anything else to report?
I've been meeting at least once a week with the architect, and we are moving along, just checking the plans as they are and making sure this is our last opportunity to catch anything that we feel needs to be tweaked. We're also meeting with various groups. I know Steve was going to reach out to Justin. We have a plan of the gymnasium now. He's going to share it with you and have a conversation.
Sure.
And the youth baseball as well is slotted for great with us. So we're doing well. The abutters are still in the forefront of what we do. We're just not quite ready to have a meeting yet until we know more about when things are going to start to happen. So
Great. Moving right along. Possibly the most exciting topic, is the superintendent search update.
We're down to 3 candidates now. Heather Galante made an agreement with another district last night. We updated all the schedules with Central Office. Central Office actually was on the trip was up on that a day ago, so they were already on top of things. But we pushed out a message through school now, just explaining to all the different stakeholders when their availability for forums were, and also pushed out the survey link. So obviously that's not going to be useful until next week, but just wanted folks to have it. And wanted to note for people watching that if you can't make it to the interviews on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, because again, the Thursday interviews are no longer happening because we now have 3 candidates. They'll go up on LCTV by April 3rd, that Friday. District staff forum is going to be at 3 p.m. at the Central Office auditorium on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This will hold for all 3 days. 5 p.m. Will be community forum at the Center on Shattuck. Elaine nicely connected with some students. So we're going to have one student, we're going to have 3 to 4 students each night have dinner with the superintendent candidate along with one school committee member. And then at 7, we'll have a public interview again at Center on Shattuck. So looking forward to everyone coming out and giving back feedback to us to consider before we make a final vote on April 9th.
Excellent. And at this point in time, do we believe it's appropriate to dissolve the superintendent search screening committee?
Yes.
Yes, so there's really been two committees. So that was the screening committee, which was the 19-person community member committee. And then we also have the subcommittee. So I don't know if you want to put that on the next agenda or if you want to do it tonight. How you want to do that. But there's two committees that would need to get dissolved.
Well, let's take care of the one that's on the agenda. Which would just be the screening committee.
I move to dissolve the screening committee.
Second,
Motion made by Sean, seconded by Elaine, I think it was.
yes.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
I,
So that committee, thank you for your work, will be dissolved. And then we'll address our own subcommittee next meeting for dotting our i's and crossing our t's and everything, so no big deal.
we've been working hard on dotting those i's and crossing the t's. That's
And
a lot of weeds to be in.
we should really thank the screening committee for the hours that they put in and the time to come up with four finalists. It's not an easy task, and thank you for your commitment to ensuring that you know are sending now 3 finalists to the school committee for consideration. So it's huge. It's a lot of time you spent on that, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Very good. And last but not least is the communications side.
Yep, so I updated the website with new information based on the fact that we only have 3 candidates, put a little headline up there just notifying people that we're aware of what Gaines Board that's changed. All the resumes of each candidate, the redacted resumes, are up on the website for folks to look at as well. Along with the schedule I just outlined, for community forums and interviews. So if folks want to check that out, go for it. Also making posts on Facebook, try and get the word out. And reached out to folks that were involved in the screening committee to try and push out the information as well, figuring they all stakeholders in this, to push that out. The Substack I put out about this actually got not surprisingly, probably 3 times as much as I usually get for views, so that's really good. It got 500 views, so get a follow right out.
Wow.
And then and then today, Alex did a great job pushing out in school now, just the schedule to everyone and explaining what's going on. It included in that is the survey link, so that folks will know for next week where to go. In addition to that, he's helping to work with us to get those highway signs up for next week and signs throughout the district as well for that. So that'll be good. But please do spread the word, it's really important. As Justin previously mentioned, I had the hockey team on this afternoon. It was a great conversation. LCTV did a great job with hosting us. We had a lot of people on, so it was a little different format. And then earlier in the week, I had 2 actresses and Adam Dacos come on from Mamma Mia. So that's up there for those who are interested. Please go see the musical this weekend. I was told to highlight that on Saturday, the matinee, you should dress accordingly. So you should be in full Mamma Mia garb and go enjoy yourself.
That's when I have tickets.
I can't wait to see what you're
I'm looking. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm going Friday.
Want to see the selfies?
Yeah,
Right.
That's everything.
Okay, I want to thank Sean, he's been doing a fabulous job with the communication efforts thus far, so.
Excellent.
Hats off, thank you so much.
Okay.
That wraps up subcommittee reports. Is there any other new business or old business for the committee this evening?
No, but before we adjourn, can we make a note that what's on our packet here, this meeting on April 23rd? That's a meeting on April 30th. So our meetings in April are on the 9th and the 30th. It's just a typo.
Oh, yes, it is. Good catch.
Glad you said so, because I probably would have just read that like I normally do.
Oh, and then also the second has been canceled too.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
So
you're
we'll
gonna make
make
all that.
No, what I'm gonna say is, before I ask for a motion to adjourn, just like to announce that our next school committee meeting will take place on March 30th, 31st, and 1st at the Center on Shattuck Street at 7 o'clock for the purposes of final interviews for our 3 candidates. We will then have a meeting on April 9th at the Center on Shattuck Street for the purposes of a final vote or discussion and final vote with the new superintendent. And then our next school committee meeting, or the school committee meeting after that, back to regularly scheduled business, will not take place during April vacation week. It'll take place April 30th, 7 o'clock, back at the police station. right?
Good.
I think I caught all those
Yeah.
edits.
Nicely done.
Yep.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
By Sean,
Second.
second by Janine. All those in favor, give us saying aye.
Aye.
We have adjourned.